Hi everyone, and this is a continuance video of the investment decision making. The prior video, I went over how to do the payback period and I went over how to do the accounting rate of return. In this video, I'm going to go over how to do the net present value method. I'm going to go over how to do internal rate of return and how to do the profitability index. Okay, before we start, I need to know, well, if I was in class, I could ask all you this, but I'm going to assume that you have never seen a present value or future value table, okay? So let me show you right now what this table will look like. So you'll see this in your textbook, okay? All right, let me just show you. Here's the first table. It's the present value of 1. What that means is that's the present value of one lump sum, okay? So that's usually at the end when you're trying to figure out one payment. Now remember that, that's only one payment. The number of periods are over on the far left-hand side. You'll have the number of periods, and then across is the percentage, okay? So remember that. That's the present value of 1. We go to the next table, which is the present value of an ordinary annuity. For this class, we're going to focus on this table the most, okay? Pretty much the entire time. All right, so the present value of an ordinary annuity is in the case of a cash flow. So you're going to have that same amount every year. In that case, when you're trying to figure out the present value of that figure, you will use the present value of the ordinary annuity table, and you'll multiply it by a factor. Again, it's going to be the same way. You'll have the number of periods, which are to the far left, and then on the top is the percentages, okay? They also have future value of $1 and future value of an ordinary annuity. We will not be using that. We are using the present value table. So just ignore those tables when you're figuring out the total amount, okay? All right, I'm gonna go back to that in a minute. Let me just put that down. And let me focus on the problem that we're going over. So let's go back to the problem. Here it is. Splash Nation is considering purchasing a water park in Atlanta, Georgia for $1,910,000. The new facility will generate annual net cash inflows of $483,000. That is not a present value figure. We have to figure out the present value. Okay, so just so you know, the net present value is the best method. It's the best method because it's going to look at the present value. The present value is taking into account inflation, and we all know that the present value of $1 will be different from umpteen years from now. So what you're trying to figure out is, what is this same amount received in 20 years, what is it worth today? Okay, so how we're going to figure it out is we have to find the present value of the annuity factor. So let me use a different color marker so you can clearly see how I'm doing this. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to find the regular net cash inflow. So in this problem, it was $483,000. Okay, so I just input that figure. And then I'm going to multiply it by the factor, the appropriate factor. Okay, so the net cash inflow is going to happen every period. So when we go to the table, we want to find the present value of an annuity table. So I'm skipping over present value of $1. No, that's one lump sum. I will not use that. In different accounting classes, we will. But for managerial accounting, for this particular method, we will not. So I'm going to the present value of an ordinary annuity of $1, okay? And now I gotta look back in the problem for the particulars. So I wanna look, how long are they saying this asset will last? They're saying 8 years, and they're saying that the hurdle rate is 10%. So I go over here, okay, I take my finger and I trace down and I come to the number 8. That's the number of periods. And then I trace across until I get to the hurdle percentage. For this particular problem, it is 10%. So I go here, here's the factor, 5.335. Please understand that, because by the time I test, you will have to know how to find the appropriate factor, because the test, of course, will be different. So 5.335. So now, what I do, let me set that aside. I'll need that for another method. I just put in the factor. So the factor is 5.335. I multiply it out. 483,000 times 5.335 gives me 2,576,805. Okay? All right, so now all I do is I take my present value of annuity, that's this answer here, 2,576,805, and I subtract my initial investment. My initial investment was 1,910,000. So my net present value is 666,805, and that's good. That's a positive number. So if it's positive, I will accept. If it was negative, so if this number was less than this, my final answer would be negative. Make sure you know how to do basic math. You would have that in parentheses. You would say reject. Okay, but in this case, we're accepting that. That's good. All right, so that's how you do net present value. All right, let's go next to the internal rate of return. Internal rate of return, we're also going to use the present value tables, but it's going to be completely different. So pay close attention. All right, so to get the factor, I am going to go over here. Here's my equation. I'm going to take the initial investment, 1,910,000. Okay, and then I'm going to divide that by the annual amount of the cash flows. Okay, so the annual, let me just kind of put this in, cash flow is 483,000. In my calculator, I take 1,910,000, I divide that by 483,000, and my factor equals 3.954. Double check your math. You can easily transpose a number with this, so double check, make sure your factor is perfect. 3.954, okay? All right, now, I am going to go to my table, and I'm looking for 3.954. I am going to my present value of the ordinary annuity, okay? All right, I'm looking for the number of years only. Don't look at the percentage. Don't look at that 10%. I'm looking only for the number of years. So I find the number of years. So let me come over here. It's tough when I'm trying to do this. So I can't see if you can really see it. I'm hoping you can. All right, and then I go down. It was 8 years. I take my finger. I trace across. Now I'm looking for 3.954. I'm going across. Don't see it yet. All right, getting closer. Okay, so we're using cheaper calculators. They're not that accurate. So we're going to have between certain percentages. If you have a graphing calculator, you might get a more precise number. But so 3.954 is between 18 to 20%. Okay, so 18 or 20% would be your answer, okay? Sometimes some of the problems come out exact, and then you know it comes to that factor, so you can clearly see. But these are less accurate tables, so if you're not using a graphing calculator, you would say between 18 and 20%, okay? All right, so you go over here, and again, your answer, because it was between 18% was 4.078, 20% was 3.837. All right, but the bottom line is, this is good, we will accept. Why? It's greater than the hurdle rate. The hurdle rate is 10%, so it's greater than that rate. So yes, we're gonna accept that for the IRR. The profitability index, this is where if you've completed the net present value, you already have one of these numbers. So the profitability index, you're going to take the present value of the net cash flows. Well, we already did that. We did that right here. Let me draw an arrow, a line. So the present value of the net cash flows, and let me erase this now, and I'll put that number in, is 2,576,805. And I went over how to do that. You're going to do it the exact same way if you do not have that number. And then we're going to divide that by the initial investment, which is 1,910,000. We divide that out and we get 1.35. Again, that was not your initial number, round to the appropriate place value. Okay, if it's larger than 1, which this is 1.35, we will accept. If it was less than 1, so if it was 0.89, no, we would reject it. So this is greater than 1, we're going to accept. If it's less than 1, we're going to reject. Okay? Let me also go back to the accounting rate of return. So this is how we did that method. We came up to, well, initially it said round to one place. This was our initial number. It was 5 or higher. All right, well, the next one, sorry, let me do that. This is 5 or higher, so this goes up by 1, so 25.6%. That is greater than our hurdle rate, which is greater than 10%. We will accept that. The payback period is taking 4 years. It's less than the 8 years, so yes, we will accept that method as well, okay? All right, so this was a big problem, but the reason I selected it is because it has all the methods in it. All right, get in, get that homework done, make sure you keep all those equations, and you'll do well on your last exam. See you soon.